Hello, my lovely people. It's another beautiful morning in Thailand. As you can see, I am nowhere near the mountains where you usually find me. I am a little out of my natural habitat, lounging here beside the sea. I am in Trat, and Trat is in the far southeast of Thailand. So Trat is like the last Thai town before you hit the Cambodian border down here on the sea. And this little village it's a fishing village, and it's built over the water, so everything's up on stilts and you can drive your fishing boat right up to your back door here. Now, I don't mind a bit of fishing, and this is definitely the place to be doing it. Right on the water, cold beer in your hand, hauling those fishies out of the sea at a definitely satisfying pace. But if you know me at all, you probably have already figured out that I didn't come down here for the fishing. Yes, I came down to check out the local dirt biking scene and see some trails. There's a pretty big dirt biking community down here, but the terrain is completely different to Chiang Mai. Whereas we have mountains and a fair bit of red clay, which can be wildly slippery when it's wet. Down here, near Pattaya, Rayong and Trat, we have sand, and the sand is not just on the beach. So this was the weekend when I learnt to ride sand, deep sand, rutted sand, uneven sand, sand with rocks in it, sand with elephants on it. Oh my goodness. I have never seen anything like that wild elephant in my life. Sure, I've definitely seen plenty of elephants, and up north here there's heaps of elephant sanctuaries, and you'll be riding along the road and you'll see elephants nearby. It's all kind of normal, but that is not the same thing to fanging along in the forest, and then suddenly you look up and there is a gigantic bull elephant standing right in front of you on the track. Oh my goodness, I just grabbed the brakes, skidded to a stop. Phil was right behind me. He nearly ran into me. I stopped so fast. And this bull elephant, he had tusks as long as me, and he was the size of a house. I was just absolutely stunned. You know, people talk about sights being breathtaking. This was a breathtaking sight. He was so close, and he was so big and wild. Now, wild elephants are really dangerous. You do not want to mess with them because they have quite the body count, both in Asia and Africa. And so when I saw this gigantic beast in front of me on the track, I just froze. He looked at me, I looked at him. I wondered whether I would be able to turn the bike around fast enough to make my getaway, or whether I'd better just throw it down and run. It's moments like that when you wish you spent more time working on your pivot turn. And I tell you, the adrenaline was hitting hard. He looked at me, I looked at him, and then after 30 seconds perhaps, but it felt like a lifetime, he turned around and disappeared back into the forest. So wow, just wow, that was such a cool encounter. I can still hardly believe it. Unfortunately, no footage of the elephant. I wasn't recording at the time, so you'll just have to use your imagination and make do with some of these pretty pictures of motorcycles and of me just looking stoked. It was a fantastic little adventure, and I feel like I leveled up in my riding. A good coach is absolutely worth their weight in gold. Someone who can explain strategy to you in a way that makes sense, someone who knows how to teach, someone who knows how to help you feel confident as you really push your abilities and move into new territory. That is absolutely amazing. Such an opportunity. And so I was absolutely stoked when Phil and I got out onto the trails, and the things he was saying were all making sense to me. In 2 days, I went from someone who thought that sand was trying to kill me to someone who was absolutely railing those sandy tracks. Well, railing by my standards, of course.
But it's not necessarily about where you start in absolute terms as much as it is about how much you improve when given the opportunity. And what a great opportunity that was. So I am absolutely thrilled that we ended up down there in Pattaya, in the sand, with someone who knew how to coach and knew how to push me in the best possible way. So that's the side of Pattaya that I went down to experience, and what a great time I had. Now, I know this is probably not what you think of when you think about Pattaya. You're probably wondering how all of that partying is going, especially with COVID these days. Well, I did pay a very brief visit to some of the nightlife, had a little look around. Everybody is waiting for the tourists to come back. I am sure you can imagine how hard that the economy of a place like Pattaya has been impacted by COVID-19. As you can see, the beaches are hardly crowded at the moment, which suits me just fine, but again, terrible for the economy. Anyway, let's head back to sunrise over my favourite little fishing village down here in the south. As you can see, it's pretty peaceful.
Oh, the air smells beautiful, just that slight hint of saltiness from the ocean. No doubt lots of those negative ions which made me sleep like a log last night. It is a beautiful spot, guys, and it's a beautiful life. I hope you're having a good day too.